welcome to Captain Party's Story Time. Second series, we're reading Invisible Monsters now. We're on the second chapter. Second chapter, second series. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Where are we? Chapter 2. Don't expect this to be the kind of story that goes, and then, and then, and then. What happens here will have more of that fashion magazine feel. A Vogue or a Glamour magazine chaos with page numbers on every second or fifth or third page. Perfume cards falling out and full-page naked women coming out of nowhere to sell you makeup. Don't look for a contents page, buried magazine style 20 pages back from the front. Don't expect to find anything right off. There isn't a real pattern or anything. Stories will start and then 3 paragraphs later jump to page whatever and then jump back. This will be 10,000 fashion separates that mix and match to create maybe 5 tasteful outfits. 1,000,000 trendy accessories, scarves and belts, shoes and hats and gloves, and no real clothes to wear with them. And you really, really need to get used to that feeling. Here on the freeway, at work, in your marriage. This is the world we live in. Just go with the prompts. Jump back 20 years to the White House, where I grew up with my father, shooting Super 8 movies with my brother and me running around in the yard. Jump to present time with my folks sitting on lawn chairs at night and watching these same Super 8 movies projected on the white side of the same White House 20 years later. The house, the same, the yard, the same, the windows projected on the movies lined up just perfect with the real windows, and the movie grass aligned with the real grass, and my movie projected brother and me, toddlers, and running around wild for the camera. Jump to my big brother being all miserable and dead from a big plague of AIDS. Gross. What is that? Delightful. Jump to me being grown up and fallen in love with a police detective and moved away to become a famous supermodel. Just remember, the same as a spectacular Vogue magazine, remember that no matter how close you follow the jumps, continued on page whatever, no matter how careful you are, there's going to be the sense that you missed something. The collapsed feeling under your skin that you didn't experience at all. There's that fallen heart feeling that you rushed right through the moments where you should have been paying attention. We'll get used to that feeling. That's how your whole life will feel someday. This is all practice. None of this matters. We're just warming up. Jump to here and now. Brandy Alexander bleeding to death on the floor, with me kneeling beside her, telling this story before here comes the paramedics. Jump backward just a few days to the living room of a rich house in Vancouver, British Columbia. The room is lined with rococo hard candy of carved mahogany paneling and marble baseboards and marble flooring and a very sort of curlicue carved marble fireplace. In rich houses, where old people live, everything is just what you'd think. The ribrum lilies in the enameled vases are real, not silk. The cream-colored drapes are silk, not polished cotton. Mahogany is not pine stained to look like mahogany. No pressed glass chandeliers posing as cut crystal. The leather is not vinyl. All around us are these cliques of Louis XIV chair, sofa chair. In front of us is yet another innocent real estate agent, and Brandy's hand goes out, her wrist thick with bones and veins, the mountain range of her knuckles, her wilted fingers, her rings in their haze of marquise cut green and red, her porcelain nails painted sparkle pink. She says, "Charmed, I'm sure." If you have to start with any one detail, it has to be Brandy's hands. Beaded with rings to make them look even bigger, Brandy's hands are enormous. Beaded with rings as if they could be any more obvious. Hands are the one part of Brandy Alexander the surgeons could not change. So Brandy doesn't even try to hide her hands. We've been in too many of this kind of house for me to count, and the realtor we met is always smiling. This one is wearing the standard uniform, the navy blue suit with the red, white, and blue scarf around the neck. The blue heels are on her feet. The blue bag is hanging at the crook of her elbow. The realty woman looks from Brandy Alexander's big hand to Signor Alfa Romeo standing at Brandy's side. And the powder blue eyes of Alpha attach themselves. Those blue eyes you never see close or look away. Inside those eyes is the baby or the bouquet of flowers, beautiful or vulnerable, that make a beautiful man someone safe to love. Alpha's just the latest in a year-long road trip of men obsessed with Brandy, and any smart woman knows a beautiful man is her best fashion accessory. The same way you'd product model a new car or a toaster. Brandy's hand draws a straight line through the air from her smile and big boobs to Alpha. "May I introduce," Brandy says, "Signor Alfa Romeo, professional male consort to the Princess Brandy Alexander." The same way Brandy's hand swings from her batting eyelashes and rich hair in an invisible sightline to me. All the realty woman is going to see is my veils, muslin, and cutwork velvet, brown and red tulle, threaded with silver, layers of so much you'd think there's nobody inside. There's nothing about me to look at, so most people don't. It's a look that says, "Thank you for not sharing." "May I introduce," Brandy says, "Miss Kay McIsaac, personal secretary to the Princess Brandy Alexander." The realty woman, in her blue suit with its brass Chanel buttons and the scarf tied around her neck to hide all her loose skin, she smiles at Alpha. And when nobody will look at you, you can stare a hole in them, picking out all the little details you'd never stare long enough to get if she'd ever just return your gaze. This is your revenge. Through my veils, the realtor's glowing red and gold blurred at her edges. "Miss McIsaac," Brandy says, her big hand still open towards me. Miss McIsaac is mute and cannot speak. The realty woman with her lipstick on her teeth and her powder and concealer layered in the crepe under her eyes, her pret-a-porter teeth and machine-washable wig, she smiles at Brandy Alexander. "And this?" Brandy's big ring-beaded hand curls up to touch Brandy's torpedo breasts. "This," Brandy's hand curls up to touch pearls at her throat. "This," the enormous hand lifts to touch the billowing piles of auburn hair. "And this," the hand touches thick, moist lips. "This," Brandy says, "is the Princess Brandy Alexander." The realty woman drops to one knee in something between a curtsy and what you do before an altar, genuflecting. "Oh, this is such an honor," she says. "I'm so sure this is the house for you. You just have to love this house." Icicle bitch she can be, Brandy just nods and turns back towards the front hall where we came in. "Her Highness and Miss McIsaac," Alpha says, "they would like to tour the house by themselves, while you and I discuss the details." Alpha's little hands flutter up to explain the transfer of funds, the exchange of lira for Canadian dollars. Loonies, the realty woman says. Brandy and me and Alpha are all flash frozen. Maybe this woman has seen through us. Maybe after the months we've been on the road and the dozens of big houses we've hit, maybe somebody has finally figured out our scam. Loonies, the woman says again as she genuflects. We call our dollars loonies, she says, and jabs a hand in her blue purse. I'll show you. There's a picture of a bird on them, she says. It's a loon. Brandy and me, we turn icicle again and start walking away, back to the front hall, back through the cliques of chair, sofa chair, past the carved marble. Our reflections smear dim and squirm behind a lifetime of cigar smoke on the mahogany paneling, back to the front hallway. I follow the Princess Brandy Alexander while Alpha's voice fills the realtor's blue-suited attention with questions about the angle of the morning sun into the dining room and whether the provincial government will allow a personal heliport behind the swimming pool. Going towards the stairs is an exquisite back of Princess Brandy, a silver fox jacket draped over Brandy's shoulders, and yards of silk brocade scarf tied around her billowing pile of Brandy Alexander auburn hair. The Queen Supreme's voice and the shadow of L'Art de Triomphe are the invisible train behind everything that is the world of Brandy Alexander. The billowing auburn hair piled up inside her brocade silk scarf reminds me of a bran muffin, a big cherry cupcake. This is some strawberry auburn mushroom cloud rising over a Pacific atoll. Those princess feet are caught in two sort of gold lame leg-hold traps, with little gold straps and gold chains. These are the trapped-on, stilted, spike-heeled feet of gold that mount the first of about 300 steps, from the front hall to the second floor. Then she mounts the next step and the next until all of her is far enough above me to risk looking back, and only then will she turn the whole strawberry cupcake of her head, those big torpedo Brandy Alexander breasts silhouetted, the wordless beauty of that professional mouth and full face. The owner of this house, Brandy says, is very old and supplementing her hormones, and still lives here. The carpet is so thick under my feet, I could be climbing loose dirt. One step after another, loose and sliding and unstable. We, Brandy and Alpha and me, we've been speaking English as a second language so long that we've forgotten that it is our first. I have no native tongue. We're eye level with the dirty stones of a dark chandelier. On the other side of the handrail, the hallway's grey. The grey marble floors look as if we've climbed a stairway through the clouds. Step after step, far away, Alpha's demanding talk goes on about wine cellars, about kennels for the Russian wolfhounds. Alpha's constant demand for the realty woman's attention is as faint as a radio call and show bouncing back from outer space. The Princess Brandy Alexander, Alpha's warm, dark words float up. She is probable to remove her clothes and scream like the wild horses in even the crowdedest restaurants. The Queen Supreme's voice in the shadow of L'Art de Triomphe says, "Next house." Her plumbago lips say, "Alpha will be the mute." Your breasts, Alpha is telling the realty woman. You have two of the breasts of a young woman. Not one native tongue is left among us. Jump to us being upstairs. Jump to now anything being possible. After the realtor is trapped by the blue eyes of Senior Alfa Romeo, jump to when the real scamming starts. The master bedroom will always be down the hallway in the direction of the best view. The master bedroom is paneled in pink mirror, every wall, even the ceiling. Princess Brandy and I are everywhere, reflected on every surface. You can see Brandy sitting in the pink counter at one side of the vanity sink and me sitting at the other side of the sink. One of us is sitting on each side of all the sinks and all the mirrors. There are just too many Brandy Alexanders to count, and they're all being the boss of me. They all open their wide calfskin clutch bags, and hundreds of those big ring-beaded Brandy Alexander hands take out new copies of the Physician's Desk Reference, with its red cover big as a Bible. All her hundreds of burning blueberry eyeshadow eyes look at me from all over the room. You know the drill. All her hundreds of plumbago mouths command. Those big hands start pulling open drawers and cabinet doors. Remember where you got everything and put it back exactly where you found it, the mouths say. We'll do the drugs first and then makeup. Now start hunting. I take out the first bottle. It's Valium, and I hold the bottle so all the 100 Brandys can read the label. Take what we can get away with, Brandy says, then get on to the next bottle. I shake a few of the little blue pills into my purse pocket with the other Valiums. The next bottle I find is Darvon's. Honey, those are heaven on your mouth. All the Brandys look up and peer at the bottle I'm holding. Does it look safe to take too many? The expiration date on the label is only a month away, and the bottle is still almost full. I figure we can take about half. Here. A ring-beaded hand comes at me from every direction. 100 big hands come at me, palm up. Give Brandy a couple. The princess is having lower back pain again. I shake 10 capsules out, and 100 hands toss 1,000 tranquilizers onto the red carpet tongues of those plumbago mouths. A suicide load of Darvon slides down into the dark interior of the continents that make up the world of Brandy Alexander. Inside the next bottle are little purple ovals of 2.5 milligram sized Premarin. That's short for pregnant mare urine. That's short for thousands of miserable horses in North Dakota and central Canada forced to stand in cramped dark stalls with a catheter stuck in them to catch every drop of urine and only getting let outside to get fucked again. What's funny is that describes pretty much any good long stay in a hospital, but that's only been my experience. Don't look at me that way, Brandy says. My not taking those pills won't bring any baby horses back from the dead. In the next bottle are round, peach-colored little scored tablets of 100 milligram aldacetone. Our homeowner must be a junkie for female hormones. Painkillers and estrogen are pretty much Brandy's only two food groups, and she says, "Gimme, gimme, gimme!" And she snacks on some little pink-coated Estanels, and she pops a few of the turquoise-blue Estrace tablets. She's using some vaginal Premarin as a hand cream when she says, "Miss K," she says, "I can't seem to make a fist, sweetness. Do you think maybe you can wrap things up without me while I have a lie down?" The hundreds of me cloned in the pink bathroom mirrors. We check out the makeup while the princess goes off to catnap in the cabbage rose and the old canopy bed glory of the master bedroom. I find Darvocets and Percodans, Compazines, Nembutols, Percocets, oral estrogens, anti-androgens, progesterons, transdermal estrogen patches. I find none of Brandy's colors, no rusty rose blusher, no burning blueberry eyeshadow. I find a vibrator with the batteries dead and swollen and leaking acid inside. It's an old woman who owns this house. I figure ignored and aging and drugged out old women, older and more invisible to the world every minute. They must not wear a lot of makeup, not go out to fun hotspots, not boogie to party a froth. My breath smells hot and sour inside my veils, inside the damp layers of silk and mesh and cotton georgette. I lift for the first time all day, and in the mirrors I look at the pink reflection of what's left of my face. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? The evil queen was stupid to play Snow White's game. There's an age where a woman has to move on to another kind of power. Money, for example, or a gown. I'm living the life I love, I tell myself, and loving the life I live. I tell myself I deserve this. This is exactly what I wanted. And that's chapter 2. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. And we'll see you next time.